Good morning, children. Today in English literature, we will be doing the lesson The Adventures of Pinocchio, which is on page number 100 in your English literature textbooks. So, children, the story begins this way. Once upon a time, there was a carpenter. A carpenter is a person who makes furniture. Yes, so he picked up a big lump of wood when he was trying to mend a table. Mend means fix a table or repair a table. So when he tried to cut the wood into smaller pieces, the wood shouted, "Ouch! Stop!" it shouted. The carpenter got frightened. So he decided to get rid of it at once. And he gave that lump of wood to his friend Geppetto that you can see in the picture here. Now Geppetto took that lump of wood home happily and he said, "I will make a puppet out of it." Now a puppet, children, are movable dolls. So he said, I will make a puppet out of it and I will call it Pinocchio. He started carving the puppet from that piece of wood. First, he carved the hair. Carved means to create a design on the wood. So, first he carved the hair of the puppet. Then he carved the forehead and then the eyes. When he carved the eyes of the puppet, the eyes opened, moved, and stared at Geppetto. Geppetto looked at it and said, "How strange." But he was not scared. He continued carving. And then he carved the nose of the puppet. When he carved the nose of the puppet, he saw that the nose started stretching as soon as he had finished. Stretching means it started becoming long. It stretched and stretched, and that was the longest nose Geppetto had ever seen. Still, Geppetto continued with his work and kept carving the wood. But the more he cut, the longer the nose grew. So he left the nose as it was. He got fed up and he left the nose as it was. Next, he went to the mouth of the puppet and he carved the mouth. As soon as he had finished carving the mouth of the puppet began to laugh. Geppetto got a little offended, a little annoyed with the puppet and said, "Don't laugh at me." Pinocchio stopped laughing. But what did he do? He stuck his tongue out rudely. Then Geppetto said, "That's not right," he said. "That's behaving badly," he said. And he started carving the chin and the neck and the shoulders and then the stomach, the arms and the hands of the puppet. As soon as the arms of the puppet were ready, Pinocchio reached out and pulled Geppetto's hair. Geppetto got angry and said, "Stop that," he said. Then he took hold of him under his arms and put him on the floor to teach him to walk. Pinocchio's legs were very stiff that he could not move them. But Geppetto held his hand and showed the little puppet how to walk by putting one foot before the other. Very soon, Pinocchio could walk and run all on his own. He started running all around the room, and before Geppetto could stop him, he ran right out of the door. Geppetto ran right after him, caught him, and brought him back home. Pinocchio said, "I'm sorry, Geppetto, I will not do that again." Geppetto felt sad and he forgave Pinocchio. Then once Pinocchio's legs and feet were ready, Geppetto made him a suit meaning a coat and a pant out of flowered paper. And then he made shoes for him from the bark of the tree and a soft hat on his head. Pinocchio was so happy that he hugged Geppetto and he said, I would like to go to school, he said, and to learn and to help you when you are old. So, children, that was the story of Pinocchio. Now, let us see page number 100, which says spot 5 differences between the two pictures. So, these two pictures look similar, but there are 5 differences. The first difference that I can see here is the hair of the carpenter. The second I see is the cap of the puppet. The third difference I see is in one puppet, the puppet is smiling, but in the second one, the puppet is sad. The fourth difference I see is the strings. The number of strings are different. And the fifth difference I see here is that the puppet has different colored shoes. Now let us read this lesson to understand it better. The Adventures of Pinocchio. Once upon a time, a carpenter picked up a strange lump of wood while mending a table. When he began to chip it, the piece of wood said, "Ouch! Stop!" This frightened the carpenter. He decided to get rid of it at once. So he gave it to his friend Geppetto, who wanted to make it into a puppet. Geppetto took the wood home happily. "I'll call my puppet Pinocchio," he said. Geppetto carved the hair, the forehead, and the eyes. To his surprise, the eyes moved and then stared at him. "How strange," said Geppetto. He quickly carved the nose, which began to stretch as soon as he finished. It stretched and stretched and stretched into the longest nose that Geppetto had ever seen. Geppetto kept cutting it and cutting it, but the more he cut, the longer the nose grew, so he left it as it was. Next he carved the mouth, and the mouth began to laugh. "Don't laugh at me," said Geppetto. Pinocchio stopped laughing, but he stuck out his tongue rather rudely. "That's not right," said Geppetto, as he began carving the chin, the neck, the shoulders, and then the stomach, the arms, and then the hands. As soon as his arms were ready, Pinocchio reached out and pulled Geppetto's hair. "Stop that," said Geppetto. Then he took hold of him under the arms and put him on the floor to teach him to walk. Pinocchio's legs were so stiff that he could not move them. Geppetto held his hands and showed him how to put one foot before the other. Pinocchio soon started walking by himself. He ran all around the room, and before Geppetto could stop him, he ran right out of the door. Geppetto ran after him and brought him back home. "I'm sorry," said Pinocchio. Geppetto forgave him. Once Pinocchio's legs and the feet were carved, Geppetto made him a suit out of flowered paper, a pair of bark shoes, and a soft bread hat. Pinocchio hugged Geppetto. "I would like to go to school," he said, "to learn and to help you when you are old." Now, children, there are some meanings given here below your books. Please write these meanings, word meanings, in your notebooks, in your literature notebooks. That's all in literature today, children.